Talking about
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
And welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know who I am. You know what I'm here to do. I'm here to
rock.
That's right, guys. We have a very special episode for you. Third episode this week because we love you, but let's get some business done real quick. If you want to support the show, please go to the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/tinfoil hat. I'm putting up 3 hours every week on there, interviewing all my favorite comics and all my favorite friends in the conspiracy world, discussing everything. It's a great way to support the show that allows us to have stuff like this nice studio. We also have the t-shirts available. Go to tinfoilhattT-shirts.com and you could grab all your favorites. We got the Unabomber's Right, I Killed Epstein, Alien Shot JFK, Psychic Bigfoot, and Once Upon a Time on This Flat Earth. All those are available for you. Great way to support the show. Guys, I'm going to bring in our guest real quick. Okay, joining me as always is my man, my sidekick, my brother from another mother, Xavier Guerrero.
What's up?
And today's show is sponsored by a very special Twitter account. You might know him as the guy who runs the ones and twos. Please welcome Johnny Woodard. What is your Twitter account?
It is at Johnny Woodard on Twitter.
Spell it.
At JOHNNYWOODARD.
Johnny's got a new girl, so he's got to get those numbers up so he can impress the lady, so she doesn't leave him. She doesn't leave him for like a SoundCloud rapper or something like that. So get those numbers up. Joining me in studio is one of my best friends in the world. This man's changed my life, and I will take a bullet for him. I love him. The one and only Mr. Eddie Bravo.
Thank you for having me again.
Bravo, please, Bravo, you can't whisper. You whisper on the show, everybody yells at us about how they can't hear you. So, real quick, we got some dates coming up. Obviously, I had a child. We haven't been able to do a lot of dates, but we have some in town. We're working on more in LA right now. You can find us April 11th at the Rec Room in Huntington Beach. Now, there's going to be 2 shows, okay? There's going to be the live stand-up show, and then after that, we're doing a live podcast. Eddie may join us, may not. We don't know, depending on how he feels at the moment. But anonymously, we'll be what?
Anonymous.
Anomaly will be joining us live there, so it'll be at least the 2 of us. And word on the street, the guy who sponsored the show will be doing stand-up that night.
Oh.
Johnny Woodard will be doing his first set in Southern Cal in a long time.
Heard that. Wow.
That is April 11th. And then May 1st, we are at Spokane at the Spokane Comedy Club. And then May 2nd, we're at the Tacoma Comedy Club. And then May 9th, wow, we're banging it out. We're at the Den in Chicago. Bam. Eddie, I love you.
I love you too, dog.
Real quick, Eddie, how did the show that you did where you just make up comedy on the spot, how'd that go?
Well, the rule is you're not supposed to do any material that you've done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's tricky. So you're supposed to just listen to what the crowd shouts out and just take suggestions.
And how'd that go?
And then it went pretty good. It went not bad, but one guy yelled out, Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, damn, I had some material like a year ago on Elon Musk, and I thought about it for 2 seconds.
By the way.
Should I do that shit?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Should I?
Yeah.
I did it.
Dude, you know, everybody does that. They all act like they just made up something, and they
really?
do. Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
you should try to do stuff on the spot if you can.
Hey, they yelled out Elon Musk. I didn't. I'm like,
could you hear Joe Rogan going, "Oh, conspiracies" in the back?
No, I didn't.
That was a fun night Tuesday night. Everybody got pretty high, and everyone was having a good time. It was a magical
awesome.
night in the
It was
main
awesome.
room.
I love it.
And I'm glad you're there. And you are actually at The next one, which is Comedy Chaos, February 25th in the main room,
Hell
you
yeah.
are in fact booked. Very excited about our guest who's joining us. He is in LA this Sunday. He has a huge show called All Is Atom. Please welcome a legend of the game, one of the OGs, Santos Bonacci, everybody. How are you, brother?
Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Very nice. Great to be here.
I hit you up a long time ago, but I know you were super busy. So the fact that, you know, you were able to come in studio when you're in LA is such a blessing. So thank you. I know you're in town with a big event coming on. So why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers exactly what the event is?
Great. Well, it's All Is Atum is the title. What I'll be talking about is what does that mean? The Egyptians had that as their main axiom. That was their motto. And most of the world did as well. The Greeks echoed it as well with the atomic theory. So everything is atomic. The problem is most people don't know what an atom is. And when you learn and know what an atom is, it is a trinity, a neutron, a proton, and an electron. You will find that that trinity transfers into every other field of human knowledge. In religion, it's called the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh, my God.
In science, it's dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity, the three field modalities of the universe. Everything is magnetic. In fact, God is magnetism. Most people will laugh at that because they see little magnets pushing each other and attracting, and they think, oh, this is a clever little powerful thing. And energy is conscious. Energy is intelligent. Nothing is not. And that's what God is. God is. It is magnetism. So people are going to see that. Not only, I'm not going to be theorizing. It's not theories. It's not my theories. I'm not smart enough to make theories. It's just proof. And extensive, exhaustive, comprehensive proof, simple, that nature is simple. And we come from the field, the cosmos, the field, and the field is what most people call God. Right? And the field is dielectric black light, which has its opposite and equal co-eternal white light, the yin and yang, which is magnetism. So there in the yin and yang is the secret. Basically, I'll be starting with that, the simple things of light and sound and magnetism to explain everything.
What do you say to religious people that believe that Jesus was the literal son of God? God got Mary pregnant. Joseph, how pissed was he? What do you? Who's more pissed than Joseph?
Who buys that story, by the way? Okay.
No, but what do you say? Because there's religious people that follow like it literally, and I don't know what. For me to say I know what God is, I don't know what God is. I believe Jesus was a person who was super knowledgeable, and then later the Catholic Church or whatever made him into a superstar rock star, and that's not really what he wanted to be, and they just did it just for whatever reason. What do you say to those people who believe that Jesus was actually the Son of God and God impregnated Mary? Joseph lost his mind. Who hated God more than Joseph? Anybody? Joseph probably started the Illuminati. You know what I mean? He probably started Satanism.
Yeah.
Great question. Before I start, just remember one thing. Joseph is, in the Greek system, Saturn.
Saturn?
His son, Jesus, is Jupiter Zeus, Jesus. Thank you, Christians, for preserving the name of Zeus in Jesus.
Oh, my God.
And Mary, the consort of Kronos or Saturn, Rhea, is Maria. And I'll get to how you get Saturn from Joseph in a minute. So if the individual is intelligent, sorry, Eric, Eddie, you asked the question. When the individual is intelligent, I will tailor that and try to help them to see the true answer. If they're not, well, you just have to walk away or just do your best. But what I would try to do is establish the fact that if they want a literal Jesus, that's fine. You know, you go ahead. Children are taught about a literal Santa, and they're waiting at the chimney for Santa to photograph him coming down the chimney, right? Because he's real, right? And then they learn he's not. The same thing is with Jesus. It's the same archetype. Jesus is a hero archetype. It is the best model you could possibly have. It's in the scriptures. It doesn't need to be literal. It is literary. The Bible is a literary work and a masterpiece at that. It's not a literal document. It can't be. You can't have enough truth crammed into a small book like that in a literal manner. It doesn't work. It has to be literary because the myth contains more truth than billions of books. One sentence in one myth. And that's what the Bible is. It's mythological. It's cosmological. So when you do your due diligence and you do comparative studies in all religions, Bhagavad Gita, Zendavesta, Ennead, the Ennead, of course, yeah, Virgil's Ennead, all of them, all the masterpieces, you will find that it's always dealing with the same archetype. Jesus in Egypt 5,000 years earlier was Horus. In India, it's Krishna, right? Now, some people will automatically say, oh, no. The devil did that to confuse true Christians. That made it look similar, that there's other Jesuses and he's born on the 25th of December and he had 12 disciples and his mother was a virgin, just like Krishna's. They will turn around like they've been trained to and brainwashed, and they'll say, oh, yeah, but the devil did the, I think it's called the diabolical mimicry theory. That's their way of saying, hey, of explaining why it looks like there was one universal religion once, which there was. It's called the perennial philosophy or the prisca theologia, which I teach, syncretism.
Amen, dude.
Yep. And then something happened. Some kind of trauma or an event which caused, I would explain it as we went from golden to silver to bronze to now the Iron Age, and we've lost all of that consciousness. So we look at the scriptures and we don't understand it.
Yeah, they look like Jack and Jill stories.
Yeah, right. Imagine going to a primitive in the Amazon and showing this computer. You know, he'll stone you to death because you've got this witchcraft. This computer's witchcraft. How can you put people in a little box, you know? So this is what we have. We have all these beautiful ancient texts which no one understands. And what I'm going to do in All Is Atum presentation on Sunday is show people how to understand all scriptures, all fields of human knowledge, chemistry, the periodic table, all of it is simple. It's so simple and will all be understood.
Where can they grab tickets before we go? Because I want to grab tickets. Where can we grab tickets?
You can go to allisatome.eventbrite.com.
Okay, so just
Say that
Google
again?
basically all... No.
Maybe you should say that into his mic.
Yeah, can you
lean in?
say it into the microphone?
Yeah, if people are looking to grab tickets for Santa's show, they can go to allisatum.eventbrite.com. That is ATUM for All Is Atum.
A-to-U.
All is a tum.
Yeah, all is a tom.
And that's Adam,
And
It is.
Latin for
You want to go...
Beautiful. Atom.
And then Eventbrite. Put Eventbrite in there so that they can find it. Go Eventbrite.
So do you believe that Jesus
Event.
was never a person?
Good question, Eddie. Look,
There it
I
is.
believe he wasn't. No,
He
I
wasn't.
I don't. No.
I believe he was only because the Jews they believe that Jesus was existed, but he wasn't a god, and Christians turned him into a god. Same thing with Muslims, right? They believe he existed, but he wasn't a god. He was just a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he actually didn't exist, the Jews and the Muslims would say, dude, you guys are retarded. He never existed. There's no proof that he existed. But they're not into Jesus, but they admit that he existed.
It's all
as a
power
person.
ranking.
So that's why I think that, okay, maybe he did exist.
Beautiful. Good question. That's a good angle, by the way, too. That makes you think. So we've got an Old Testament and a New Testament. In the Old Testament, he's a bad god, right? Kill
Yeah.
the Canaanites, murder them, dash their children against the crag, kill the Amorites when you go into the Promised Land, the Jebusites, the Canaanites.
That's what turns everyone off to God right there. The
Right.
Old Testament. They're like, no way is that a real God. That sounds like Satan.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It is. It's Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn.
That's why you've got the book of Chronicles in the Old Testament, Chronos.
Yes, dude.
It's all Chronos. Then you got the New Testament, where Jesus turns up, Jupiter Zeus, the son of Saturn. And he's a good guy. Well, in astrology, Jupiter is a benefactor, a great benefic. Interesting. That was a good slip. Because Jesus is a benefactor in theology. In astrology, he's a greater benefic. Saturn is the greater malefic, bad.
Yes.
Mal is bad, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you see the bad Old Testament of the Jews, and then you've got the Christian Greek scriptures. So you go over to the west now, you're over in Rome territory, Greece, etc. Now you've got a Zeus as their hero. You see? Jesus. So he
But
turns...
Zeus is also in the story is the guy who slays Kronos, right? Is that am I correct on that?
Exactly. So Kronos wasn't his real daddy, right? You see
Right.
this daddy issue? It transfers over into the Christian theology. Joseph is the foster father. So how do you get Joseph from Saturn? Well, Sat becomes Set, becomes Seth, becomes Seth. Joseph, father Seth.
Oh man!
Rhea becomes Mother Rhea, Maria. And their son, the King of Kings, which Zeus is the god of gods, who stands on Mount Olympus, whereas Jesus stands on the Mount of Olives, same mountain. If you study Zeus and the Greeks, and then you study the Christian Greek scriptures, you'll find exactly the same story. Different names. Like if I go to Mexico, which I am next week, the car there is called coche. I can't use an English word. Where's the car? Get me the car. I have to say coche. But it's the same thing. It's
Right.
still a Mercedes-Benz or whatever brand it is. It's a car. So if you're calling him Krishna in India and then you're worshipping him as Christ in the West,
It's all the same
it's
thing.
the same thing.
It's like Eskimos have 40 words for snow. It's all snow though,
It's all snow.
right? And it's just like the question is there a group of people who manipulate these stories? Meaning, like, if you look at all these religions, right? There's this book inserted that kind of changes the angle or the direction that the religion goes into. We have the Talmud, right? We have the Bible, and as great as the Bible is, it does kind of go a little different than what Christians were doing before that. And then you have the Torah, the Muslim book, the Quran, you know, and they all have these interesting stories where, like, some prophet met an angel, and the angel said something so incredibly holy that they couldn't even write it down. And that these are verbal kind of records of what was said. And it's like, that's a very interesting moment in which there could be a manipulation that changes. And these little verbal records all have a little something in it that helps the other religions get angry at that religion. And then that takes this one religion, divides it into many religions, and now everybody's fighting. Even though in a weird way, they're all worshiping the same religion, but there's little things that each one of them kind of hates, you know, about what the other one's doing.
That's right. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. I remember condemning the Mormons, and because their Jesus is different to the Seventh-day Adventist one. One can drink coffee, one can have alcohol, others churches say no. So to answer your questions, yes, there is a group of people, and those groups are called churches. We need to run away from churches because they're corporatized. They all have their 501c3 registrations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which means they are subject not to God, as the Apostle Peter said. We worship God as ruler rather than men. We will do God's law, which means the law of magnetism, of nature, rather than man's positive law, which you find in books, which doesn't apply to human beings. It applies to the birth certificate citizenship name, which is a Vatican-owned vessel in commerce. So, are we true Christians free, or do we subscribe to churches which have manipulated our own sacred texts, like the Bible, which is my favourite book, and the best syncretism, philosophical, mystical book, and astrological ever written? ever.
I was just going to ask you, are there any positives to the Bible? Because it sounds like it sounded like you were like, I'm sure there's Christians losing their fucking mind right now. But now you're saying, you know, you answered the question for me. You're saying it's your favorite book.
The books, the sacred books, are our illumination. If you know how to read
So
them correctly.
there's a positive purpose for the book. So there's good stuff. The books are important.
Absolutely.
The Bible. What's now? First of all, there's so many different versions of the Bible. How do you know which one is the one you should really spend time with?
To me, it's like music. There's so many genres of music. You know, I like rock and roll, I like blues, baroque, and I just listen to them all. They're all going to help you enjoy music. When you should have, I do comparative Bibles, so I've got about 8 different versions, so I can just check the Strong's Concordance and see the true root in Greek and Hebrew, which I know and have studied, so I can guide myself as to the true meaning and nuance of that word. Because, you know, you've got some very, very, poorly translated scriptures, like the Jehovah's New World Translation. New World Translation.
Yes.
I interviewed Jordan Maxwell just
Love him.
6 weeks ago. You did last week.
Love
Got
him.
that. Thank you
Love
very
him.
much.
Jordan Maxwell.
Yeah.
Who's that again?
He's an OG. He's an OG of this whole thing, dude. He's,
Can I see a picture of him?
yeah.
Well, check out him on there he is. Yeah, that's Jordan right over
He's
there.
wonderful.
Which
Right
one?
here,
There's
right here,
black
right
guys.
here,
There's
right
white
here,
guys.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Right here. He's wonderful, dude. He's wonderful.
What's his?
He was breaking down. He has talked about how the Vatican is probably the source of a lot of power. You were bringing up the birth certificates and stuff like that. Jesuits. He talks about how like the swastika is an old Indian sign of peace that you actually find in many very ancient synagogues.
Yeah.
And again, this comes back to kind of what I want to talk to you about, how what is up is really down.
For sure.
And like nobody, and it like, who are these people manipulating these things? You know, serpent versus eagle, all that stuff, ancient knowledge. We just did a big episode on them destroying all these very sacred historical sites because they want to wipe out what our true origins are. And they want us to believe we're on this rock hurling around, blah, blah, blah. And that's all they want you to know. When in reality, whatever we're on, and I don't know what it is, this guy's opened my mind to, it could be a lot different than what we think, that we're on something, whatever that is, I don't know. I'm open to mind to learn, but there's a lot of information out there that they don't want you to know. And that the Vatican or the ability or the House of Windsor or whoever it is over time.
Beautiful.
Do you think it's possible that there really was a person named Jesus?
Of course.
That, you know,
Yes,
did all the,
yes, I do.
It's possible.
Think about it. Are you from Latin America? I believe
Mexico,
you are. Okay,
yeah.
how many Jesuses are there?
A lot of Jesus.
Thousands of Jesus.
Millions.
Just
Right.
like Muhammad. There's a
Thousands
million
of
Muhammads.
Zeuses.
Mohammed is the most
Yeah,
world.
same thing.
Thank you
Muhammad,
very
yeah.
much. I know. There you go. My name's Santo in Italian. It's
Saint.
I call
Yeah.
myself Santos because of my music career. I play Spanish guitar, flamenco, Latin jazz. I've done that all my life. So, but it's Santo. What is it? Saint.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got Jesus, we've Muhammad, we've got Santo. These names, they are holy names. They have come down from holy places. And it gives you a whole, parents name you that because they want you to be that. They want you to be a saint, Santo. They want you to be Jesus, a benefic, a charitable planet, very benefic, good rays of light. Whereas Saturn's rays are cold and dry, very constrictive. Jupiter's are hot and moist. So to answer your question, no, this is a very important one before we go on. Yes, there were. And there would have been someone that was a standout named Jesus, because think about it, the Essenes and the Therapeutai, they were there in the Middle East hundreds of years before the Romans tell us that Jesus incarnated, and they were worshipping a guy called Esa. Well, in Arabic, the Esa is Jesus, Jesus. So the Essenes were talking about Jesus and this character. The Nag Hammadi Gospels had him thousands of years in Egypt. Everywhere you go, there's many Gospels of Jesus, Yeshua, Jesus, Chesa, Esa, Yesa. It's the essence. It's the
Yes.
essence. It's
I agree
Jupiter,
with
the
that.
essence of Jupiter. So sure, someone was going to eventually turn up that's called Jesus, stand out, does all the things that are in the books, and gets a type of worthiness. You see
And then
gurus
gets
today.
Like the crucifixion, do you think that really happened? That
Yes.
event that day?
It's happening everywhere in Freemasonry. You've got to go 3 degrees of the ordeals, and in the end, they put you on a cross, and they make you go through these ordeals to get crucified and to become Christian, enlightened. They do it all the time. They play out all the biblical ancient Egyptian. What Jesus did is just like a storyboard, like Hollywood does for a movie, which they do in Freemasonry today.
There's tribes in South America that still do it.
Yeah.
They'll sit there for the whole day, and they're a nail that goes in their arm and their leg, and they'll sit there for in front of the sun, and it's just part of like becoming a man type of thing.
What?
Yeah.
The ordeals.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
dude.
the crucifixion. We all have to do it. Think about it. Your body, when you stand erect with your arms outstretched, it's a cross.
Yeah.
You have an anatomy. All is a tomb.
Yeah.
You're made of atoms.
Yeah.
So you are entombed. You are light entombed in your anatomy. From the womb to the tomb, said Plato.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, and that's why a tomb looks like the womb. You go to the cemetery, you see wombs.
Yeah.
Because that's where they've gone back to the tomb.
Oh.
And it's all who are interfering with our scriptures and interpreting them and blinding people and confusing them. Back to Jordan Maxwell, I didn't finish that. He was a Jehovah's Witness too. So if you go to my 2-hour interview with him, you will learn a lot about one group called the Jehovah's Witnesses and how they're controlled by who? The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, the Vatican Jesuits, primary money or managing families. The Rothschilds have been managing the Vatican's finances since 1829.
Yeah.
They are the ones who are screwing with our Bibles. They are the ones. Jordan Maxwell revealed that when he was living in LA, the witnesses would have conventions here, and he was in the group of the inner circle. He would go to their functions, etc. And he happened to be sitting next to a Greek guy who was in the financial department, and Jordan has a lot of curious questions, so naturally asked, how do you fund all this since you're only getting donations and etc.? How do you have all these great hotels in Brooklyn, New York, and Patterson, upstate New York, and Pennsylvania, Allegheny there, where Charles Taze Russell began, etc. Russell family is Rothschild. Russells
are behind all the opium and funded many of these Ivy League schools.
The Russell Trust.
They created the skulls and crossbones to
Yale.
make it so the very rich had a head up on everybody.
Yep, Yale University, Russell Trust. So the Greek guy in the finance department said, well, it's easy. We have open checkbooks from Chase Manhattan and JP Morgan. And whatever we need a hotel room to further our publishing work, write out a check. Who owns Chase Manhattan? The Jesuits. They control all the money. The Vatican black nobility families. You know?
Oh, man. Now we're getting to what I've been wanting to talk about forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable how hard it is to find information on the black nobility. I've said this before. It is so secret, the black nobility, that there's never been a rap group or hip hop label called the black nobility. You would think that'd be the first name out the gate. Nobody knows about these people. Nobody can barely even say who they are, what their names are. It's unbelievable, the secretiveness behind this group of people who are really a giant power structure, on top of the power structure of this whatever we live on.
Yeah. These families began more or less in Venice. Venice is Venetian comes from Phoenician.
Yeah.
Right. So the Hebrew language is the Phoenician language. So what happened was the Phoenicians were great in trade and law writing. So they were the first ones to write maritime and admiralty law and commerce. And of course, they were all around the world. They went to England in the tin mines, thousands
What
of
is
years.
maritime law? I hate to interrupt your groove, but we've heard this
Water.
a lot.
The law of the oceans, not the law of the land, common law. There's 2 laws. One is the law of the land where you stand on. your nation, its laws, its customs. You follow those. Maritime law is the law of the oceans, where vessels go upon it. Then the law in those vessels is admiralty laws, because you've got an admiral in the ship, and he's floating the ship. So all the people on the ship, they are now in admiralty law, which is under admiralty law, which is from the Vatican. Because the Venetians, who put themselves on an island in water, are the owners of this system. And what they've done is they've put you on there because you've got a citizenship. They've put you on there, you. We've all got a birth certificate, right? With the all caps name. Now you have a citizenship, you are on the ship. You're doing commerce, and they are your name. Your birth certificate is a bond. You are a billionaire. If you check in the website called, there's a website where you can check your stocks. If you put your birth certificate number in, I've checked mine, billions of dollars.
You're worth billions?
On the stock exchange, yes. That's why when the cops get you, they want to fine you, they want and take you to court. They want your all caps name, especially your surname, not your Christian name. That's yours. Remember, Jesus said, in my name you shall be saved only. In other words, not the surname. You didn't copyright it. The Vatican did. It's Crown, Kronos, copyrighted. All these people who work for the Crown,
man.
they are working for Satan.
Kronos. Crown. Kronos.
He's the one with the crown. He's the one with the rings. As Virgil said, only Saturn has the crown. Saturn is the crowned one, the coronado.
Oh my God.
So they work for the crown, they work for Cronus, they work for Satan. The bar, the Jesuits, the Freemasons, it's all
What is
big
Satan?
group. Saturn.
What is that? Is that like an entity, or is it just
It's
a
just a
metaphor?
belief system,
It's
right?
all
Metaphor.
evil entities who do the will of Satan.
Is
It's
Satan,
not one entity. No, demons are entities.
Yeah. And what's Satan though? Is Satan the opposite of? Is there an opposite of Satan? That would be God, right?
Yes, it would be. It would be Jupiter, because in the world, in our cosmos, there are 7 planets which make all these frequencies happen to coagulate and make tables, what's solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. The 7 planets, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, those 7, which are aligned with your 7 chakras, and that's how you have a body, a subtle body, because you have 7 chakras. They are discs. Chakra means disc in Sanskrit, of energy, of light. So you have 7 in you. The color of the rainbow is in you. The bottom one's red, the top one's blue. Red shift, blue shift.
Red, blue, Democrat, Republican, red, blue.
Red pill, blue pill. Roses are red, violets are blue. Red siren, blue siren. Red tap, blue tap. Because those colors, so your torso is a torus field. You have an aura going around you. It goes in your perineum, in your fontanelle, and out your perineum at the red shift. In here, blue shift. Violet, indigo, blue chakra. So your torso knows about red shift, blue shift.
How do we know that those colors are real? Like, is there like some kind of infrared goggles we could look? Wouldn't that be cool if we could put on some goggles and see all the chakras? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes.
How do we know that? What's the proof that they're? You always, I mean, I go to yoga. I see, when I go to the bathroom, they got a chakra chart, big ass one. I'm taking the league. I'm always looking at that. I'm like trying to remember that shit. Green, red. Like, how do we know that's real?
Because of the frequency. And they tell you the red chakra has 4 petals in Hindu. 4 petals. The orange one above has 6. The yellow one has 10. The green heart chakra has 12. This one has 16.